This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi everyone, I'm Meteo Mundo Chief Meteorologist Rusty McCraney. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday, September the 10th. Still very active here in the tropics. As a matter of fact, early September is normally the peak of the Atlantic hurricane season, and there's many areas of interest to discuss. Obviously, Hurricane Lee on the left-hand side of your screen is going to dominate the headlines, but let's talk about what else is happening right now. We do have Tropical Storm Margot. Winds right now are up to 50 miles an hour, but Margot is forecast to strengthen over the next couple of days and become a Category 1 hurricane. As it moves up towards the north, it will more than likely even become a high-end Category 1. Winds could be, pushing 80, even 90 miles an hour here towards the end of the track. And then we do expect Margot to begin to dissipate, at least lose some strength as it gets into the cooler waters of the northern Atlantic. We have two areas of interest. We have Invest 97L. This one is moving to the west, but a very low-end chance that it will develop. And then a wave coming off of the West African coast. This one more than likely will be the area that we'll be monitoring mid to late week for potential development. Could be taking a very similar track to Lee, and so that's the one that we're going to have to monitor. Now, the other big one, of course, is Hurricane Lee. Lee has lost some strength here over the last couple of days. Category 2 hurricane right now, winds of 105 miles an hour, but Lee is forecast to strengthen again and move very slowly to the north and west. Lee is forecast to become a Category 4 with winds of over 130 miles an hour. So a strengthening trend with Lee is expected here early to midweek as it slowly chugs west-northwest. Now, late in that model period, you see the turn to the north. This is what we've been expecting and hoping, and the models still continue to show that trend. As far as proximity to the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos, well, I can take our distance tool here and draw it out towards that center line. So from the Turks and Caicos, you're looking about a 350-mile berth, if you will, between the expected center of Lee and the islands. That's great news. We wouldn't expect hurricane conditions out of that. But let me tell you something. For the entire Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, we are going to see significant waves and swells produced out of Lee for the majority of the week. From Great Abaco to that center line, you're looking at more than 500 miles. So the farther up that you go into the northwest Bahamas, Lee should be turning to the east quick enough where we don't expect, again, there to be any direct impacts from Lee except for the significant swells and seas. That is going to be a big story for the week ahead. This is the GFS model. I'll put it into motion for you. Again, Lee going to be moving very slowly until it begins that north turn, getting into the Gulf Stream waters and then picking up some steam. You can see the GFS again keeps it away from the Turks and Caicos. Southeast Bahamas about the same, about 350 miles away, and then a little bit farther, of course, with the orientation of the islands, the farther north that you go. The GFS model does keep the brunt of Lee off of the United States East Coast. The European model gets a little bit closer to New England in the eastern portions of Canada towards Nova Scotia late in the period. That's something that we'll be monitoring here. But again, for the Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos, it's really about these significant waves. Take a look at what we're going to see here, and you're going to start to see some yellows and some oranges build in. We do expect some double-digit swells on the eastern side of the islands through mid to even late in the week. As a matter of fact, for your Monday and the northwest side of the Bahamas, again, this is for the eastern side of the island, seas 4 to 6 feet, building to 6 to 8. But for the southeast Bahamas, seas will be building on Monday to 8 to 12 feet. Mariners need to take extreme caution. We also expect some overtopping waves as well. So the significant waves that Lee will be producing on the eastern side of the entire Bahamas and the Turks and Caicos will be very dangerous for any boating interest there. Again, put this into motion for you here. That's going to be Tuesday. You can see the waves really beginning to build in as we go through the day on Wednesday. Double-digit seas are likely. Lee begins to pull to the north on Thursday and Friday, but those significant waves, those double-digit foot waves, could be sticking around through at least Thursday or Friday. That's the latest. We'll keep you up to date with those seas in the Bahamas and the latest on Lee. And if you like the content of our page, please like and subscribe right here to Meteo Mundo.